Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. So I wanted to jump on because I've had an interesting year. I guess it's not been a full year since I've been off of YouTube. The path it was taking was one where it just would have felt like my efforts were futile. I have things that might be helpful to people, but if people can't hear them, or if it's not sent to the right people, if there's too much interference in collective synchronicity and resonance, which there has been, then there was no point in me making the videos. I was not going to feel fulfilled by the feedback. I wasn't going to be helping the people who might want to hear the war stories of someone who's been in the trenches for as long as I have. So here's my update on what the last year has been like, lessons learned. And I think the biggest one that I found may be helpful to others is the relationship between PTSD and karma. And I've tried to talk about this before in other ways that doesn't always hit the mark because people are so ingrained with an idea of karma that is really existing in this cause-effect time limiter. And karma is not time limited, it is resonant. It goes through time. I think it's the whole idea of soul passing larger than time scales of the body. It gets a little bit confusing to understand when we don't have basic physics taught accurately. We're taught only classic physics, which is not at all the world you're living in totality, right? There's so much more going on that classic physics cannot explain. And while all of that stuff is ignored, you don't know the truth of yourself. So you can't know the truth of the PTSD you have. You can't know the truth of the karma that's playing out and why and how. And so in the way that people talk about history repeating itself, the intersection between what we call karma and what PTSD is relevant and important. I think a lot of people go into the spiritual journey thinking that they will find that inner kingdom, the realm of all-knowingness, if you will, and that in that realm of all-knowingness they will have a key to their freedom. And it is so much more nuanced than that, than most people are, the information most people have received. And I'm basing this on just what I've seen, conversations I've had, understanding how it's taught and how it's received. They are rarely, well, you've communicated with people. How many times do they actually get the full message that you're trying to convey? Especially if they don't have a expertise in something that you're talking about. So you can get the keys to an inner kingdom. You can get the idea that one exists. But in the same way that you can wake up and be the air inside of a box, does air have the intelligence to understand the construction of the box? Because all of the people around you, that know what your life has been like, and the systems that support those people, and the stories and the literature and the cultures that have existed for thousands and thousands of years, all of that is the box. And so you might recognize that you are the air inside that box, but that is essentially meaningless. Maybe you're happy being air inside of a box. This is what I view of spiritual teachings, don't correct me. This is the favorite thing of people who watch YouTube channels, is to watch what people are saying wrong and correct them. I'm not interested. I'm on my own path. I don't need a stranger who has almost no information about me attempting to correct my interpretation of spiritual truths, because I somehow have not communicated my knowledge of them correctly in a 10-minute video. So you come to the rationale that you are air inside of the box, and then supposedly the next step is to see there is no box. You don't have to bend the spoon. You don't have to disintegrate the cardboard or catch it on fire or refold it into a fancier origami design. You just need to convince yourself it's not there, while everyone else around you is disallowing this. And they will get meaner and meaner and meaner because they are the box. And they want to stay being the box. In their reality, they might be the air. In yours, they are the box. And they don't want to stop being the box, because then what are they to you? So I had decided to try to heal. I had decided that the box was too much of a reflection of PTSD. Things that happened to me, systems in place that put people in programs and manipulate them for certain outcomes, consciously or unconsciously. We don't know the depth of this. How could we? I'm like in my own world, man. I don't know what everybody else is running, right? So I wanted to heal some deep wounds, make some connections. And I found out in the process that not only has it been a cyclical replay of something that happened to me when I was 5-6 years old, but it's like this obnoxious, absurd, absolutely absurd replay. And to recognize it and attempt to drop it from it was never a conscious decision to stop it from happening again, because I did not recognize how resonance actually works throughout life. So that's something that happens to you maybe pre-verbal, maybe before you have memories. We don't often have a language memory or a language attached to memories prior to age 5. So this happened to me on the cusp of 5-6 years old, and so the memories are visceral. They're physically manifested, and pictures. So I have pictures that come through, and from that, so what happened is my brother had left on a space heater in his room, and the house caught on fire. And so for a little while, we were homeless and lived at my grandma's house while my mom's house was getting repaired. And this very strange, and then what happened while we were at my grandmother's house is that a man abducted me, and I got away from him, but another little girl did not. And so I've spent a lot of my life feeling guilt for having not somehow facilitated him getting caught. And it's just been playing out in various ways in my life. I was going to be a journalist. I had a nudge in my mind to go to a very specific place. So it has really impacted my whole understanding of reality, feeling a sense of rescue, also not quite being able to trust spiritual guidance because it felt like a spiritual guidance that led me right to the monster. Because I thought I was starting my career, it's impacted my ability to want to make money or have any sort of shininess in that regard. It's like a Truman story, you know, Truman who he wanted to sail around the world, and so they had to drown his dad so he wouldn't want to do it anymore. It's a situation that feels very much like that, and then it's played out again and again. So in 2013, I was, you know, in that winter, 13-14, there was a space heater going in my garage for a feral cat who had kittens that I had grown attached to. I put the space heater in there. A whole bunch of other bad stuff had happening. This is just like the one little source of comfort I was trying to give myself. And then the electric bill was too high. I had asked the county for help. The county came to help pay the electric bill. The landlord said, no, I already paid it. He hadn't paid it. And then he told me I had to get out. Middle of winter, made homeless. They threw away all my belongings. And then there I was with my 5-6-year-old homeless. And then I came here to this new place. I moved to a new place. They run a space heater in the utility closet 24/7 through the winter. I was not told this before I moved in. It's been very triggering for me, and I couldn't figure out why I've been so triggered. There's a maintenance guy who is an evil son of a bitch who has the keys to my apartment. I cannot tell you the amount of trauma I've been watching play out on the walls of my cardboard box. So, and they intersect, right? So we'll have these traumas and they'll resonate through time, but there's others that have been, other rocks that have been dropped into the sea of our spiritual path, the waters of our energy and how it moves out across time and space. And those have also played out. So one of the other things was my older son had gone into a car accident. That happened again. I had, when he was young, his dad's side of the family engaged in parental alienation, which essentially ruined me. It was about the most disgusting thing that can happen, because there are actual bad people in the world. And so when you pretend someone who isn't bad is, it distorts reality. So his reality has been kind of permanently distorted. My view of myself has been permanently distorted, and I have to fight against it all the time. All of my actions have been trying to prove that I don't deserve to have the worst thing happen to me, and I should have never been put in that situation. So that has reared its ugly head again too after all this time. He's a grown adult. They still do it. I'm still the villain. Christian woman thinks I'm a villain and don't deserve to parent my own child. And so it's like this, all of these huge core wounds, like the most painful things. That is what I have spent the last 9 months of my life looking at, re-feeling, reliving. Meanwhile, remembering and knowing what it feels like to be in kind of like a perfect blissed out state. I'm not experiencing these things separated from God, or like, oh, if I could only just stop being a damn sinner, then God will be with me. God is with me in the pain. There's no separation from that. There's like this truth. When it finally dawned on me where the stupid space heater thing, right? So where the space heater connection came from was that, my brother had a space heater on. That's why I was at my grandma's house. That's how the bad thing happened. Once I finally made that connection. So I went to Mother Earth. I'm like, you got some kind of wound with a space heater? And then I was just thinking about the sun. I was like, oh yeah, she probably does. And so it's like finding a rewriting of the resonance to something bigger than myself, such as Mother Earth and the timeline of that history. So it takes it out of this personal karma and puts it back into a larger framework so that I am not perpetually attempting to fix something that is not my own. I did a thing as a little 6-year-old. I went walking outside and then created this, ripple through time. Because what about the man who got put there? What about whoever pushed the button on the little nudge I got? What about those people's karmas? What about the reaction that every person has given me when told that story? Because it's been absurd, largely. I had a therapist once tell me that, I have a God complex because I saved myself. If only somebody else had saved me, I wouldn't think so highly of myself. A therapist said that. That's some fucked up shit right there. So the intersection of PTSD and karma relates to this idea of resonance, and resonance is bigger than your life. And if you can't see it through time in terms of trying to comprehend soul, you can ask Mother Earth, what is your relationship to this? And take this back. Because we don't have to work out the karma of those big giant forces, big natural forces. We don't have to take that karma on as a personal, as a means to, let's try to imagine how much money I have spent trying to heal something that might be related to cycles of destruction via the sun. How could I ever actually spend enough money or have enough therapy sessions to heal a resonance that deep in my bones? I don't know why it plays out this way. I couldn't tell you. I don't think anyone can tell you. It's weird. But I've spent a lot of time trying to be this person that has the capacity to go work a 40-hour bullshit job so that I'm not punished for poverty, when I'm meant to like completely ignore this weird thing that happened to me when I was 5-6 years old, and extraordinarily damaging to my sense of safety in the world. and how little people care that a little girl was hunted. And so in a way to honor her, I can't pretend it doesn't matter. And then when I see it replay, then that points to a physics that I was not taught it at all. Because our understanding of physics does not exist in the truth of time and the way that the circles of an event actually play out. So you need to get to your inner kingdom, and all of that advice to get to the inner kingdom is one thing, but understanding what to do with the information you see there. That is why it was not something that was embarked on, number one, by just anyone. And number two, the help that you needed. Like you could, like, yes, everybody should know that they are connected to everything, but to be on a true spiritual path, seeking freedom, true freedom, and not just some kind of bullshit, status, which is what the thing that most people go towards spirituality at. What it's become is this like commodified status seeking weirdness. The truth of it is this complex physics, and getting an opportunity to investigate how things are held together, what is holding them together. It isn't just your own consciousness. It is also this interplay of history, big history. That is true karma. And so it is a letting go of forces that are holding you together. It's absurd. And so the alternative to that level of absurdity is this connection that we can have with each other that recognizes that we're all in these weird boxes, and we can infuse each other with light and respect and compassion and a mutual agreement to stop caging each other in trauma. You can recognize a person's problems, and rather than reinforce them, you can send a different message and reflect a different message. Understanding how these things are used against us, because there's people who just simply aren't people anymore. They are cogs in a dysfunctional bandwidth. So I don't know how often I can come on and make videos anymore, because making videos kind of sucks. But as I am able, I'll try to patchwork some of the other lessons I've learned in the last 9 months. And I did finish a novel. I will probably never edit it and release it, just like the others. But maybe, like, if you want to read it, let me know. I'll send you a PDF.